Revealed, the incredible response of a housekeeper that transformed a millionaire's life forever. Maria woke up before the sun peeked through her window, her heart already racing with the day ahead. 3 kids needed breakfast, lunches packed, and then the mansion. Each morning brought the same whirlwind of chaos, yet with every dish she scrubbed and every floor she swept, she dreamt of more. At 35, with dreams teetering on the edge of hope and despair, Maria clung fiercely to the fabric of her life woven with sacrifice and gritty determination. The grand estate where she worked was a hollow echo of its former glory. Ethan, once a millionaire who commanded respect, now was a recluse hiding amid his towering walls, his laughter replaced by silence, his joy snuffed out by the heavy weight of financial ruin. As Maria dusted the polished banisters, she would glance around at the ornate decorations that whispered stories of a time long gone, a stark contrast to her own struggles. Yet, beyond the dust, she found a glimmer of empathy for Ethan. It started with an accidental brush of shoulders during a late-night cleaning session. She offered a shy smile. At first, Ethan barely regarded her. But after weeks of her bright presence, a hesitant warmth began to unfold. They soon discovered that laughter could coexist with pain. Shared stories illumined the shadows of his past while her honest tales of motherhood turned his resignation into rapt attention. Maria's worries became his reminders of what life could still hold a chance for redemption. Just as the fabric of their strange friendship began weaving tighter, tragedy struck the community. A beloved local veteran lost his home in a fire, his family left without shelter or hope. News spread like wildfire, fueling the urgency within Maria's heart. How could she sit back while her community suffered? The veteran's plight called to her sense of justice and compassion. In a heartbeat, she organized a fundraiser, igniting fires of purpose not only in herself but in Ethan, who initially shy from the world found courage to step out of his self-imposed shadows. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the community rallied around the veteran, whispers began to drift through the neighborhood, accusations that implied Maria's intentions were selfish, her efforts a mere facade. The hurtful words stung sharper than any criticism before. Suddenly, the turmoil around her felt insurmountable. The same neighbors who once nodded in approval were now judging her perceived motives. Among the swirl of gossip, Maria felt the grip of loneliness tightening around her, a painful reminder of economic disparities that deepened with every whisper. Meanwhile, Ethan grappled with his past failures. Could he stand beside Maria as she faced these hardships? Would he abandon their fragile bond to wall himself off once more? As secrets unfolded, both Maria and Ethan were pushed to their limits, confronting whether they would rise together amidst the chaos or retreat into their isolated worlds. Tension filled the air, heavy as a summer storm threatening to burst. Yet quietly, in the shadows of turmoil, a new understanding flickered. They realized real success wasn't measured by wealth but by courage, friendship, and the pursuit to uplift those around them despite the odds. As Maria's heart pounded with uncertainty, a question loomed large: could they withstand the judgment of others and harness their scars into a force for good? With one wrong turn looming, would their new bond break apart in the storm, or could they transcend their struggles together? Maria stood in the kitchen, her hands trembling as she stirred a pot of soup. The aroma filled the air, momentarily distracting her from the tumult raging in her heart. Despite her best efforts to push away the doubts, the whispers from the neighborhood had burrowed deep into her mind. She had poured her heart into the fundraiser, believing it was for a worthy cause, yet here she was, questioning herself. Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts. "Are you okay?" he asked, his concern evident as he stepped into the warmly lit kitchen. He had come to help her prepare for the fundraiser, and she appreciated that even amidst his own struggles, he found purpose in being there for her. She looked up, forcing a smile, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Just thinking about everything," Ethan leaned against the counter, crossing his arms. Don't let them get to you, Maria. You're doing something important. His faith was a lifeline, and for a moment, she felt the weight on her shoulders lighten. Thank you, Ethan. It just feels like I'm fighting the tide sometimes. You aren't alone in this. We're in it together, he reassured her, softening the edges of her anxiety. They finished preparing the soup and set the tables in the grand dining room, which felt surreal for a casual gathering. Chairs lined the long table, beautiful but so far removed from the spirited dinners she shared with her children. As guests began to arrive, Maria took a deep breath, smoothing her apron. She welcomed each person with warmth, but behind her smile lurked the shadows of those doubts. Would they all see through her? The room buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. Ethan moved effortlessly among the crowd, a new man emerging from the cocoon of his isolation. This was the spark she had hoped to see in him, a glimpse of the potential he had all along, waiting to be kindled. But the joy was short-lived. As the evening progressed, Maria spotted a familiar face, Mrs. Thompson, her childhood bully, with a gaggle of friends, all wearing expressions of judgment masked in polite smiles. The lightness in her stomach twisted painfully. How ironic that the very people she aimed to uplift in her community were the ones eager to tear her down. As Mrs. Thompson approached, her eyes glimmered with malice. So, you think you can save the world now, Maria? With soup and good intentions? Maria's pulse quickened, but she stood tall, unwilling to shrink back. This isn't just about me. It's about helping those in need. Something you wouldn't understand. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Her heart raced as she absorbed the atmosphere, a mixture of shock, excitement, and pity. Would they rally behind her, or would her moment of truth push them away? Ethan stepped closer, his presence a steady anchor amidst the growing tension. Maria's doing something honorable. We should all support her. The words hung in the air like a delicate promise. Maria locked eyes with Ethan, a silent agreement passing between them. They wouldn't back down when challenged, they would stand strong, together, but amid the rising support, Maria caught a glimpse of doubt clouding the faces around her. Would courage be enough to silence the whispers? As the night unfolded, Maria felt her determination strengthen, but the fear nagged at her insides. Could her resolve shift public perception or even change her own fate? With uncertainty mingling with the warmth of camaraderie, she realized she was on the precipice of something greater. This was more than just a charity event, it was a chance to redefine herself and confront the shadows that threatened to engulf her spirit. In that charged atmosphere, she envisioned the future, a community healed, friendships forged, and perhaps, a way out of the darkness for both her and Ethan. But as she prepared to speak, a sudden commotion interrupted the moment. A figure burst through the door, face flushed and eyes wild with urgency. Help! We need help right now! He shouted, and Maria felt her heart drop. What awaited her at a time when she was finally starting to believe in herself? Would this be another challenge to face, one that could tear them apart or bind them even deeper in the fight for hope? Maria's heart raced, an unsettling mix of fear and curiosity surging through her as she fixed her gaze on the frantic stranger. The laughter and chatter around her faded to a low hum, the joy from earlier evaporating like steam off a boiling pot. Ethan moved instinctively, stepping toward the door. What happened? He called out, his voice both firm and soothing. The man took a breath, his chest heaving as he launched into a hurried explanation. There's been an accident down at the park. A child. He's trapped. They're saying they need more hands to help. The crowd tensed, a collective gasp rising at the mention of a child. Maria's thoughts spiraled. The fundraiser, her grand plans of community healing, it all felt so frail compared to the stakes now hovering in the air. Should she stay and manage the evening, or should she rush to help? Ethan turned to Maria, eyes wide. We need to go. They can't do this without us. His urgency beckoned her into action. What about the fundraiser? She whispered, feeling the weight of expectations like a heavy cloak around her shoulders. Forget the fundraiser. His expression softened, dropping any pretense. This is about saving a life, Maria. We can make a difference right now. Together. Summoning every ounce of resolve left in her, Maria nodded. Okay. Let us go. They slipped through the door, joining the flow of guests hastily abandoning their plates and glasses. The buzz of the party transformed into the pounding of feet on pavement as they made their way toward the park, an urgent pulse echoing in their hearts. Outside, chaos welcomed them. Sirens screeched, and emergency lights flickered against the darkening sky. Parents clutched their children tightly, fear plastered on their faces. A small crowd gathered near the edge of the park, a knot of people anxiously weaving in and out of the chaos. Maria's heart dropped when she caught sight of the commotion. They were directing traffic, the paramedics shouting orders. She could see the outline of a small figure, but couldn't tell if it was a boy or girl, just a child, in trouble. Over there. Ethan grabbed her arm, directing her toward the scene. Let us see how we can help. As they reached the thrumming crowd, the weight of the situation sank in deeper. A man was knelt beside the child, whispering soothing words to keep him calm. Maria felt tears prick her eyes, a cocktail of panic and determination flooding her veins. What can we do? She asked, feeling the urgency wrap around her like a warm embrace. One of the paramedics noticed them, his expression set with fierce concentration. We need people to hold this line steady. Whatever happens, don't let the crowd push the barriers. Nodding vigorously, Maria and Ethan positioned themselves alongside a few other volunteers, bracing against the mounting pressure. With each passing moment, she could feel the energy transform, fear shifting to resolve, sorrow to hope. Hold strong, Ethan murmured, glancing at her with a steady gaze. We're making a difference right now, Maria. A cheer erupted from the crowd as emergency teams worked swiftly, and Maria felt a surge of adrenaline. In that moment, she wasn't just a woman hosting a fundraiser, she was a part of something vital, something truly impactful right here, right now. But as the child was finally pulled free, Maria felt an ominous heaviness settle again. What would be left of her dreams tonight? Would they have to reconcile the hope that bloomed here with the unanswered doubts lingering in her heart? As sirens faded more into the background, and relief washed over the crowd, Maria's eyes locked onto a small figure against the chaos. It was a boy, frail and frightened, but alive. What if? Her thoughts lingered as she felt the emotions swell, joy intermingled with fear. Could this change everything for her, lay bare what truly mattered? Before she could ponder too long, a familiar face stepped forward from the crowd, eyes filled with unmistakable recognition. The air snapped taut around her. Maria? Mrs. Thompson's voice sliced through the moment, shifting the ground beneath her once more. What did this mean for Maria now, and how would the connection with her past alter everything going forward? Maria's throat felt tight as she turned to face Mrs. Thompson, a figure from her past that she had never expected to see again, especially here amidst the backdrop of chaos and emergency. The woman had been a quiet constant during Maria's childhood, an ever-present comfort in her family's south sprawling estate. How had she ended up at the park on such a night? Mrs. Thompson. Maria stammered, her heartbeat echoing like a drum. Memories flooded back, a mix of comfort and loss. What are you doing here? I came to help. Mrs. Thompson replied, eyes scanning the crowd. There was a raw determination in her voice. I live just a few blocks from here. I heard the sirens and had to come. When I heard it was a child, her words faded, but the urgency remained. Ethan, still beside Maria, stepped in. The boy is safe now, but we need to keep the crowd calm. Can you help us keep things organized? Mrs. Thompson nodded, instantly shifting gears into action. She moved with purpose, her presence grounding amidst the frenzy. Maria stood glued to the spot, watching her. She was struck by how much Mrs. Thompson still embodied the warmth and strength she had always known. It was as if time had folded in on itself, taking her back to simpler days when choice didn't feel so heavy. But the present pulled at her, reminding her of the gravity of the situation. Lives were at stake, and so were her aspirations. Maria, focus. Ethan's voice cut through her thoughts, and she realized the barriers were starting to shake under the weight of growing onlookers. She moved instinctively, joining Mrs. Thompson and Ethan in redirecting the crowd. Voices blended into a cacophony, but their shared resolve began to create a solid barrier, like a dam against a rising tide. Minutes passed, but they felt like hours. The collective energy drew them closer, a tapestry of strangers now woven together in the face of crisis. Yet, even in the chaos, Maria felt something shift within her. Her dreams of purpose, of community, began flickering back to life. "I need to say something," she shouted above the din, and in that instant, she knew she had to connect with them all. "Everyone, please. Let us give the professionals room to work." Her voice, slightly shaky but loud, pierced through the noise, and heads turned. "A little patience, let us respect this moment. They're saving a child's life." Her words sparked a quieter understanding, rippling through the crowd. She could see faces soften, unity forming not just behind her but among the entire group. There was a solemn connection, humanity at its core. "Good job, Maria." Ethan beamed at her, his expression one of pride, encouragement swirling in the air like electricity. Hope blossomed within her, twining around her heart. It felt real for the first time in ages. But just as the moment began to solidify into a new foundation, an unexpected sound reverberated through the murmurs, an anguished cry. "She needs help," someone shouted, pointing frantically towards a section of the park. Panic surged back through Maria's core. She turned, the weight of fear crashing down once more. What if, she thought, heart racing again. It felt like the night was far from over, and each passing moment threw an unexpected challenge into the ring. Before she could process it, Mrs. Thompson gripped her shoulders. "Stay strong, we can face whatever's next together, Maria." With newfound strength coursing through her, Maria locked eyes with Ethan and Mrs. Thompson. This was not just a night of chaos. It was a night of choices, of facing the past, of uncovering a future she never anticipated. Would they be able to navigate the storm brewing ahead? The shadows of their combined histories loomed, but there was also the glow of something new, a thread of resilience. As the cry resonated through the park, Maria took a deep breath. What truth would she uncover next? Maria felt a rush of adrenaline as the cry for help echoed through the chaos. She glanced at Ethan and Mrs. Thompson, whose faces were a mix of concern and determination. They were ready to face whatever lay ahead, but an uneasy knot tightened in Maria's stomach. "Let us go," Ethan shouted, breaking into a run towards the sound. Maria followed, her heart pounding. They pushed through the crowd, people parting nervously for them, sensing the urgency in their pace. As they approached, the scene unfolded like a nightmarish tableau. A woman knelt on the grass, cradling a small girl against her chest. The child's face was pale, her breathing shallow. Maria's breath caught in her throat. She had to act. "Is she hurt?" Maria asked, kneeling beside the woman. "Yes. She fainted. I think she hit her head." The woman's voice trembled, panic seeping through her words. There was desperation in her eyes, a plea for support that resonated deep within Maria. "Okay, let us check her." Maria reached out to touch the girl's forehead, feeling warmth radiating from her skin. She looked up at the woman. "Is there any bleeding?" "No. Just a bump." The woman's hands were trembling, brushing through the child's hair. "Stay calm," Maria said, channeling the warmth of Mrs. Thompson. "We need to keep her head steady until help arrives. Can you hold her still? Ethan, can you find someone from the emergency services?" Ethan nodded, darting away into the crowd, his determination imbuing the air around them. Maria turned her full attention back to the girl. She pressed gently against her side, trying to keep her still. This was no time for fear, she had to be the anchor now. "Hey, sweet girl, Maria murmured, her voice soft and soothing. You're going to be okay. Just hang in there. The girl fluttered her eyelids, a soft whimper escaping her lips as she slowly regained consciousness. Relief washed over Maria, but it didn't erase the urgency. Can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can, she urged. To her surprise, the girl tightened her grip. It was a tiny, fragile connection, yet it sparked an electric sense of hope in Maria. That's it. You're so strong, she whispered, feeling tears prick her eyes as the girl's eyes began to flutter open. Maria glanced at the woman beside her, noticing the tension start to ease in her posture as she saw the life returning to her daughter. Seconds felt like hours before Ethan returned, his features tightening as he scanned the scene. I found them. They're on their way. He called out, and in that moment, a weight lifted. Maria kept talking to the girl, reassuring her with gentle words, while Mrs. Thompson stood vigil beside them, a steady presence. They're coming, you're gonna be all right, Maria said, looking down at the girl's pale face. For a fleeting second, she let herself think about the girl's future, how she would run, laugh, and grow. It struck her how precious life was in that very moment, and how small acts of care mattered. Suddenly, sirens pierced through the air, rushing closer, their red lights flickering like pulsating hearts. Relief crashed over Maria like waves breaking against the shore. Help was here. As the paramedics rushed up, Maria felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Mrs. Thompson, her eyes shining with pride and warmth. You did well tonight, Maria. So much courage. But before Maria could respond, she spotted a shadow in the crowd, a man with familiar features, standing still like a statue, a look of disbelief on his face. The world around her seemed to blur for a split second as reality began to shift. Jack. She breathed, unsure if his presence was real or just her wanting to escape the chaos. What was he doing here? And what did his expression mean? With her heart racing once more, Maria faced the unknown emotions swirling within her. This could change everything, but would she be ready for whatever came next? Maria's breath quickened as she locked eyes with Jack. The world around her faded into a blur, leaving only his startled expression etched into her mind. He looked different, more rugged, like life had drawn deeper lines on his face. The sight of him stirred a chaotic whirlwind of feelings: relief, anger, confusion, and an unexpected thrill. Jack! She exclaimed, the name slipping from her lips like an anchor. She tugged at the emotions inside her, desperately trying to grasp what this moment meant. Maria? His voice trembled as he stepped closer, weaving through the crowd that had gathered. He appeared drawn to her, like moth to flame, yet unsure of how to approach without adding to the tense atmosphere. What are you doing here? She asked, trying to sound assertive but finding herself breathless. The sirens blared in the background, and as the paramedics moved into action, the scene felt surreal. This isn't the place for us. I know, he replied, his eyes darting to the little girl, then back to her. I saw the gathering crowd and I didn't expect to find you like this. His gaze softened, revealing a flicker of concern. Are you okay? I'm fine, she insisted, though her heart raced with vulnerability. But she needs help. Maria nodded toward the girl as the paramedics knelt beside them, taking charge. Jack's face shifted, a weight settling over him as he studied the little girl. Maria could see memories ripple through his eyes, reminiscent of the times they spent working in the community, lifting each other in moments of turmoil. I should help, he muttered, glancing between Maria and the scene unfolding. I know a few things about first aid. Maybe I can stay back, Maria said gently but firmly, her instincts kicking in. She knew they both needed space to process their own emotions. Let them do their job. Jack hesitated, then nodded, taking a step back. They stood near each other, yet it felt like an insurmountable chasm had opened, the space between the past and present, familiarity and distance. Why did you leave? Maria couldn't stop herself from asking, the question tumbling out before she had the chance to filter it. His expression darkened. It wasn't about you. I had to sort out my life. Jack's voice sounded distant and unfinished, like pieces to a puzzle he hadn't found yet. What happened? She asked, searching for clarity among the chaos that surrounded them. Before he could answer, one of the paramedics emerged from the throng, signaling that they were ready to take the girl away. We're transporting her now. She'll be all right. Breathless relief flooded through Maria. The weight of worry clung to her, but she felt lighter knowing help had arrived. Thank you, she choked out, still watching the paramedics work. Will you come? Jack's voice broke through vivid memories of laughter and dreams. It could make a difference. This time, Maria's heart wasn't racing out of fear, it was a mix of hope and uncertainty. I don't know. As the ambulance doors closed, sealing the little girl inside, a heavy silence enveloped them. Maria's thoughts were tangled with what Jack might mean for her future. Could she trust him after everything? And then plainly, she thought of the girl, the precious life that had floated between danger and safety. Just as they had almost lost the little girl, might they find something of their own? Let us talk, Jack suggested quietly, his expression softening again. We need to, don't we? With every part of her brain screaming for clarity, she realized how much she was willing to risk. The energy felt electric, the moment could shift into something beautiful or break them both completely. Okay, Maria finally whispered, feeling the pull toward him despite her own reservations. Let us talk. As they walked toward the parking lot, Maria's heart battled between fear and an undeniable curiosity. What would happen next, and could redemption also hold a place in their story? Would this reunion rewrite their lives, or just lead to more heartache? The night was still very young. The chill of the evening air wrapped around Maria as she and Jack stepped away from the chaos, the glow of the ambulance's lights fading behind them. The parking lot seemed desolate, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions swirling in her chest. It felt as if they had entered a new world, where past grievances lay heavy like fog, obscuring clarity. Do you want to sit? Jack gestured toward a nearby bench. It looked worn but stable, much like their hearts. She nodded, the weight of their conversation pressing down on her as they settled next to each other. Maria stared at her hands, feeling unmoored. She could hear Jack's breathing, steady but laced with tension. I can't believe it's really you, she finally blurted, breaking the silence that had started to seep into her bones. After all this time it's surreal. Yeah, he replied softly. I didn't expect to see you again like this. His gaze was intent, searching her face as if he was looking for traces of the person he once knew. What happened, Jack? The words felt heavier this time, weighted with a mixture of hope and dread. You just vanished. One day, you were there, and the next gone. A shadow crossed his features. I thought I was doing the right thing, but that doesn't mean I didn't care. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture familiar yet distant. I was struggling. I thought I needed to get it together before I could be us. Before I could be who you deserved. Maria felt a sharp twist in her heart. You couldn't even talk to me? Not even once. I was afraid. His honesty hung in the air like the scent of rain before a storm. Afraid of dragging you down, afraid you would see the truth I was trying to hide. Is that what I am to you? A burden? Her voice shook with the weight of the unasked questions. No. Jack recoiled slightly, desperation flaring in his eyes. You're everything. You were everything. He paused, studiously choosing his words. I thought if I stepped away, I could fix myself and come back whole. The night wrapped around them, but in that moment, it felt like the world held its breath. Maria's heart raced. Was he confessing? Could they really be healing something that had been broken for so long? What did you find? She asked, her voice lowering to a whisper. Did you fix yourself? He hesitated and Maria sensed his vulnerability. I've learned a lot about myself, about what I want. And it's you. It has always been you. Her chest tightened. But what if you haven't changed? She asked, her voice soft but stern. What if it's just the same cycle repeating itself? I don't want to repeat it, he replied, and she could see the anguish in his eyes. I know that I hurt you and I don't want to hurt you again. But I also know I've missed you every day. Her heart was a turbulent sea, battling the waves of emotion. Could she really take that leap of faith again? The way he looked at her, so intently, unleashed memories of laughter, shared dreams, and their undeniable connection. Yet the pain of betrayal loomed large. I need time, Jack. Her words came out firm, even if her heart quivered. If we're going to do this, we need to take it slow. Slow sounds good, he agreed, a relief washing over his face. I'll be here. Whenever you're ready, I'm not going anywhere this time. Just then, a loud honk pierced the stillness as a car pulled into the parking lot. Both of them turned to see a familiar figure getting out: Maria's brother, Mark. He had come to check on her, concern etched in his features. Maria. He called out, making his way over, and a sense of dread prickled at the base of her spine. How would he react to seeing Jack? Jack's eyes widened, registering the shift in atmosphere. I should go, he said quickly. Just think about what we talked about, okay? Before she could say anything, he was retreating into the shadows, leaving her alone with her brother's approaching worry. Who was that? Mark questioned, his expression shifting from concern to curiosity as he glanced back where Jack had disappeared. The weight of her decision settled heavily in her stomach. Someone from my past, she answered, her voice barely above a whisper. As Mark nudged her to focus back on the present, Maria's mind raced with questions. Did Jack truly mean what he said? Could this be the start of something new or just a painful reminder that love is often a complicated puzzle? The night was very young, but the pieces of her life were already at a delicate threshold, teetering between memory and possibility. Mark settled onto the bench next to Maria, his brow furrowed with concern. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Maria forced a smile, the kind that felt more like a shield than a genuine expression. I'm fine. Just processing everything from tonight. Processing or not, you shouldn't be alone. He glanced at the spot where Jack had just vanished. Who was that guy? Well, he was someone I cared about a long time ago, she said, the weight of her words heavier than she expected. Mark's gaze sharpened. Didn't he sound like just an old friend? Didn't he vanish on you? The way he asked it stung a little. She didn't want to relive the hurt, but she couldn't lie either. Yes, he did. But it's complicated. Complicated? He shook his head. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. Talking to him, seeing him, it stirred up a lot, she admitted, inching closer to the truth. Things that I thought were in the past. Mark leaned forward, his voice softer now. No one wants to see you hurt again, Maria. You've been through so much already. I know. Her voice quivered. But he claims he has changed, that he is ready this time. It makes me wonder what? Wonder if it's worth it to give that part of my life another chance. I don't know, Maria. Trust is hard to rebuild. Mark frowned, crossing his arms. And you have to think about how this could affect your life moving forward. You've built so much without him. She looked away, the sky darkening above them. What if I'm just scared? What if this is my chance to find that happiness again? Mark's expression softened, and he reached for her hand. I want you to be happy. But you have to be sure. Love shouldn't feel like a gamble. Maria sighed heavily, feeling trapped between longing and fear. I thought I had made peace with it all until he showed up. Now it's like I'm on a tightrope, just trying to keep my balance. Walk carefully, sis, he warned gently. You can't always bring back what has been lost. Sometimes it's best to keep the door closed. She nodded, fighting the tears that threatened to spill. I just wish I knew what to do. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, jarring her from the emotional quagmire. It was a message from Jack, thinking of you. She stared at the screen, heart pounding as emotions surged again. What if he really means it? Mark leaned over to see her texts, a glimmer of understanding flashing in his eyes. Careful. Words can be powerful but also deceitful. Taking a deep breath, she typed back, "Let us talk soon." The moment she hit send, her heart fluttered, echoing her inner turmoil. As silence enveloped them, Maria felt her mind racing, caught between the past and an uncertain future. What if opening that door led to a completely new chapter, one filled with hope instead of pain? But then again, what if it only led her back to heartache again? Mark, do you ever feel like you're at a crossroads? Like every decision you make could change your entire path? She asked, her voice trembling that he nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. Every day. It's scary, but also exciting. You never know what might be waiting just around the corner. I just wish I had a map, she murmured, feeling adrift once more. And as the moonlight flickered above, Maria knew she had a choice to make. Would she follow her heart, or would she protect it from the shadow of the past? Her phone buzzed again, another message, this time from Jack, "Let me show you I've changed." The weight of his words hung between them. Could she truly let him in again? The decision loomed larger than life itself. As Mark looked at her, uncertainty shadowed his eyes. "What's the plan, Maria?" Both of them were silent, the night thick with unresolved tension. What was she truly ready for? This time, staring into the horizon, she felt the truth whispering back at her, but what would she choose to listen to? Maria's heartbeat quickened at Jack's message, the words dancing in her mind like a flickering candle. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a casual offer. The gravity of his desire to prove himself weighed on her, intertwining with the shadows of their past. Mark's gaze pierced through her thoughts, his concern palpable. "You don't have to respond right away," he encouraged, his voice steady. "Take your time to really think about what you want." She looked at him, searching for comfort. "But what if I wait too long? What if I miss my chance? Or what if you fall into the same pattern again?" Mark countered gently. "Remember how it felt last time?" Bringing her hand to her chest, Maria felt the churning emotions bubbling inside her. A memory flashed in her mind, Jack's laughter, the way he held her so tightly before everything fell apart. But then she saw the hurt, the tears. Would it be different this time? Could it? "Mark, I don't think I can just ignore him," she finally said, her voice trembling. "There's too much unfinished business. It feels like a door I can't just close." "Maybe it's worth exploring," he replied, "but do it cautiously. You deserve more than a half-hearted promise." Breath held tightly in her lungs, Maria wrestled with the decision pulling at her heart. In that moment, she was no longer just a woman caught in indecision, she was someone ready to reclaim her narrative. What if I give him a chance to show me he has changed? What could it hurt? Only you can answer that, Maria. Just don't expect him to be the person you remember. People evolve, but they also have a way of sliding back. She nodded, taking in his words. The air around them felt thicker now, as if the universe was waiting for her choice. "Maybe I just need to hear him out," she whispered. It felt both liberating and terrifying. But what if he stirs up old feelings? What if I let myself believe again? "Then you deal with it together if you need me." "You're not alone in this," Mark reassured her, squeezing her hand tighter. She cast her gaze back to her phone, heart still racing. The screen dimmed as she battled her thoughts. Maria felt torn, part of her craved the familiar warmth, while another screamed for caution. Without a second thought, she typed, "Let us meet tomorrow." After hitting send, her chest tightened as uncertainty gripped her. "Okay, it's decided. I'll talk to him." Mark raised an eyebrow but remained silent, letting her process. A raindrop splattered against the bench, quickly followed by another. The night began to drizzle, a refreshing, liberating sound. Despite the weather, Maria felt a shift inside her. There was strength in taking this step, however small. "Looks like it's starting to rain," Mark said lightly, glancing upwards. "Do you want to head inside?" "Just a little longer," she replied, staring out into the dark street. "I need to gather my thoughts." Emotions boiled within her, the remnants of hope intermingled with the fear of heartbreak again. This was a chance, but also a risk. Everything could change with a single conversation. "Whatever happens, I'm here for you, Maria," Mark said softly. Satisfied by his support, she finally took a deep breath and let it out slowly. The tiny droplets on her skin felt alive, a reminder that life was unpredictable, but as the rain strengthened, the unmistakable sound of her phone buzzing again broke the quiet. A new message from Jack appeared. "Are you sure about this? I promise I won't let you down again." This time, the shadows of doubt crawled back into her mind. Could she really trust him? The night's warmth seeped from the air as she pondered her choices, envisioning the meeting with Jack just a few hours away. Would she emerge from the shadows, illuminated by hope, or would she find herself back where she started, stranded in pain? As Maria stared into the rain, a flicker of resolve sparked within her heart. She was ready to uncover the truth, whatever it might be. But would that truth lead her to the light or plunge her deeper into darkness? As the rain drummed softly around them, Maria took a steadying breath. She looked at Mark, who was watching her with a fierce protectiveness, and she felt warmth spread through her heart. Tomorrow was a fresh page, a chance to rewrite not just her story, but maybe Jack's too. There was uncertainty and fear, but also a glimmer of hope. Could they really start again? The following day, the sun broke lazily through the clouds, wrapping Maria in a golden glow. The quiet but persistent hum of morning life echoed around her as she stood in front of the cafe they had decided on, her heart fluttering nervously. She could picture Jack walking through the door, his familiar figure reminding her of all the moments they once shared, the laughter, the dreams, and also the scars of their parting. When Jack stepped into the cafe, time slowed. There was something undeniably magnetic about him, yet the weight of their history hung heavy in the air. His face held lines of anxiety, but when he caught sight of her, an unexpected warmth ignited in his expression. "Hey," he said gently, the word landing softly between them. "Hey," Maria replied, her heart dancing with nerves. He was here, alive, tangible. She gestured for him to sit. As they settled into their seats, the cafe buzzed around them, but their world shrank down to just the two of them. "So," Jack began, his voice slightly wavering, "where do we start?" Maria could sense the urgency behind his question. She took a steady breath. "Let's start with the truth," she said, finding strength in her words. "I need to understand what happened. Why you left." Jack's gaze fell, and she could see the conflict play out in his eyes. "I wanted to be someone I thought you would deserve. Someone better. But it only took me away from you," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I made mistakes. I hurt you, and I regret it every single day." Her heart fluttered as she listened, the veil of bitterness slowly lifting. "I wanted you to talk to me," she admitted with vulnerability. "I would have understood, Jack. We could have faced it together." "I know," he said, pain etched deeply in his features. "I was scared. I thought if I could fix myself first, I'd be ready to show up. I didn't realize that it only pushed you away." Tears pricked at the corners of Maria's eyes. "It hurt to lose you. I felt abandoned and alone, and I didn't understand why." Jack reached out, his hand lightly resting over hers, their fingers brushing. "I don't want to lose you again," he said softly. "I've changed, Maria. I'm here to fix what I can, to be better for us, for me." As she looked into his eyes, something shifted inside her, the stirrings of an old flame reigniting. Yet, doubt still lingered. But what if this all falls apart again? His grip tightened. "Then that's on me. But I need a chance to show you I'm not the same person. I want to stand beside you, through it all. With the warmth of his hand wrapped around hers, Maria felt a burgeoning sense of possibility. She hesitated, but she also thought of the progress she had made in her life, how she had built resilience and strength on her own terms. She was still the woman he had once loved, but now she was filled with purpose and passion for her community. Well, here's what I need, she started, her voice unwavering. I need you to be honest. All the time. No more secrets, no more running away, no matter how hard it gets. Jack nodded earnestly, his gaze fixated on her. I promise. I want to be that for you. As they continued to talk, the layers of their past began peeling away like old paint on a wall, revealing new possibilities beneath. They laughed, they cried, and as the hours slipped by, hope began to weave itself into their connection once again. When they finally stood to leave, a warm breeze rustled the leaves outside the cafe, and Maria felt an invigorating sense of freedom wash over her. They walked side by side, stepping forward into a world of second chances. They lingered outside for a moment, still processing what had just unfolded. This doesn't mean it will be easy, Maria reminded him, a smile curling on her lips. No, it doesn't, Jack agreed, a glimmer of nervous anticipation flickering in his eyes. But I'm willing to try. I hope you will too. They stood there, surrounded by people moving about their lives, and for the first time in ages, Maria felt light. A sense of freedom enveloped her heart. This was a new beginning, built not only on trust but on understanding, resilience, and hope. In that moment, she realized that the past shaped her, but it would not define her future. Together, they would navigate whatever challenges lay ahead, bound by a deeper understanding of love, forgiveness, and connection. As the sun set, casting golden hues across the sky, Maria and Jack emerged into the world, ready to embrace life's beautiful messiness together. Now it's your turn. Don't wait one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We need your support. Comment below your thoughts about Maria and Jack's journey. What did you feel while reading? And don't forget to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Real stories like this deserve to spread like wildfire. You need to be a part of this community, so let us keep the dialogue going.